children under the age of 18 in Nigeria are in one form of child labor or the other. It's either you find them in the farm, working while their colleagues are in school, or you find them in quarry sites, you find them in mining sites, you buy pure water on the street, and then the child that is selling for you is under the age of 18. Then you wonder, when others are in school, this girl is hawking pure water, this girl is hawking granite, this girl is hawking biscuit or kose on the streets. So for every child that you find on the streets, when his colleague or a colleague are in the school, it's a form of child labor. And you begin to count one after another, you find out that for every 10 children you put together, at least 4 are involved in child labor. Now, when we talk of the prevalence, is not irrespective of whether it is a rural area or an urban setting. You find the prevalence even more in rural areas. When a child needs to travel or trek like 3 to 4 kilometers to school, the school is not close by, and the child needs to trek 3-4 kilometers to school, and the parent says, instead of trekking these 3 kilometers every day to school, our farm nearby is just about 2 kilometers. So why not go to the farm today, and then you trek 2 kilometers to farm and then 2 kilometers back to the house. Now you are subjecting that child, denying the child education, right? And at the same time, having a child under 18 years to trek a minimum of 4 kilometers every day is also something that is very, very worrisome in Nigerian situation. Then you look at the gender disparity. Both boys and girls under the age of 18 are involved in child labor. But most prevalently, the girls will find them in other form of labor. If they are not working on the farm, they are involved in prostitution, they are involved in trafficking, and they are involved in hawking or sexual exploitation in our society. Every day when you go out, you see this, especially if you are in this sector of our work, when you move from one place to another. It's a sight that you see every now and then. And then you find that as low as 5 years, a child of 5 years, you find them in one form of labor or the other. Now, we've talked about the prevalence, and we're not talking about the causes. And the number one causes, or the primary cause, or the driver of child labor is poverty. Most families struggle to make ends meet. And then when you have the father and the mother, they struggle every day to make sure that there is food on the table. And when their effort is no longer bringing the desired result to feed the family, say, okay, we have 3 children, why not involve these children? The extras they bring in also add up to what we need in the house, and we can able to survive. Then one other thing is access to education. I mentioned that earlier. The number one cause, the driver, is poverty. The rate of poverty in Nigeria, we know from the last survey that we have over 113 Nigeria that are multi-dimensionally poor. So in terms of good roads, there is poverty. In terms of education, there is poverty. In terms of potable drinking water, there is poverty. In terms of job, there is poverty. Even information. So when you have this information or these numbers ringing, you know that all contributes to this cause, which is poverty. Now, access to education. When we look in Nigeria as a society, you go to the rural areas or your urban areas, life is very sweet in urban areas, right? You see the streets, you walk in the streets of Abuja, the streets are very, very good. Your vehicles, you can drive very well. But when you go to the hinterlands, the suburb, is the situation the same. You go to some schools, you look at the learning environment, it's not conducive. The walls are cracked, the roof are off. Some children even learn under the tree. And then if you are a parent, you are not encouraged to send your children to go and learn under such environments. So they pull them out of education and engage them in economic activities. After all, they will say, by the time you go to school and come back, what are you going to do with your certificate? It's to make money. Now, we can start making that money at your early age, since there is no conducive environment for you to learn at school. Other thing is the access to social benefits. The children that are in school, the last administration, I think they resuscitated this school feeding program. And you can see that at that time, some children were encouraged to go to school, because when you are guaranteed of at least a meal in school, so it encourages you as a child to go to school. And if we have this kind of program and social benefits sustained in our school, more children will go to school. Citing schools in a location or a community where we have large number of children that are trekking far distance to enroll or attend school in other communities will also help in doing this. So lack of education, lack of access to education, and then access to social benefits, they also cause of child labor in Nigeria as a country. When your child is not going to school, you cannot sit down at home just like that. Yes. Yeah. So one other thing where I'll stop, because I just want to mention 3: poverty, the lack of access to education, and the other thing is this social norm. Growing up in Nigeria and African setting, our parents have farms, and then during the holidays, even me as an example, I go with my uncle to the farm during the holidays, and then it is also a time for me that I always look forward to. Those long periods of holidays, I want to go to the farm. And when we go there, what do? All we do is sit back and then encourage them. You greet them while they are working, you wave at them, and they do their work. Sometimes you eat so heavily that you cannot even lift any item on the farm. So it is a thing that we love doing. But as time goes on, as needs and demand keep increasing in our society, families see their parents, their children, as an employee, where they can engage in their farms, and then instead of getting other members in the society or laborers or help them out on the farm, you have 6 children, you have 7 children, you have 8 of them, so you already have manpower. So why not get them involved in your farm activities? So in some communities, the children labor is seen as a normal thing, is a normal part of the society and upbringing. And their parents sending their children to school is just an alternative. They rather want to have them to help them out with their work, since they all feed from that economic activity. So poverty is the primary driver. Lack of access to education and social benefit is another cause. Then the social norm that this is my child, I can engage him in economic activities so long it's benefiting the whole family.
Oh, thank you so much. And this got me really wondering, because it's very normal or common in the rural environment where people get to have many children just because I have a big farm. I need children to be able to help me, assist me in my farm, to work or to do some of these things and all that. So Mr. Benga is telling all of us that is child labor. If you have 13 children and the aim of 13 children is for them to be able to help you to do all of your farm work or all of the other things that you do, then you are engaging in child labor. So Mr. Benga, I just want us to draw a line, like a boundary, so as to help us understand better. I just want to make an example, and I want you to clarify this. If I have a child and the child is still less than 18, and then he goes to school, or he or she goes to school, and then they come back, I want them to, probably because I want them to learn other things and all that, and then after school I tell them, oh, go to, I enroll them in a place, maybe a computer place or somewhere where they just go and only learn and all that. Is that child labor? I just want us to understand the context so that we are not missing it and all that. So is that child labor? Help us clarify that. I'm sure that some people are really aching to ask that question and get it clarified.
Thank you very much. From your example, there's something you put forward. That child has gone to school, right?
Yes.
And after school, you feel that this period that you have, you don't just want it to get wasted. So why not enroll in a skill acquisition center?
Thank you, skill acquisition center.
Right?
Yes.
So we also need to understand that acquiring skill vocational skill is another form of education.
Yes.
It's an education on its own. So whether the child goes to the formal school where they learn the normal curriculum, or the child is enrolled in a vocational skill center, is still education. But what we are saying is that child labor is when the child is involved in or engaged in any work that will not allow them to learn, to go to school, to acquire skill or knowledge, so that they can contribute their own quota to the development of society. Is a child labor. Now, when these children do not have time for leisure, when you go to some of these schools in central areas, in urban areas, even at the KG, the crèche level, what do they do there? They listen to music, rhymes, nursery rhymes, some of them dance, and then for those who understand the Montessori system, the children's hand, the fingers need to be flexible. It's a part of learning for them. It helps their psychomotor. So when it's flexible at the age where they're supposed to hold their pen or pencil, it's easier for them to at least manage and maneuver their fingers to hold the pencil. So when you enroll them in this crèche or this early years school, you're also helping them out. But they present this education to them in form of leisure. So the children did not see it as a burden. As they are learning, they are watching those educational materials and songs. It gets into their head, they learn as well. So any work that will not allow the children or deny them